Before we explore the tragedy at Hapton Valley Colliery, we must first delve into the rich and complex history of coal mining in Lancashire. This northern county was not merely a backdrop, but an active character in the unfolding story of industrial Britain. Before industrialization, Lancashire was a largely agrarian county, known for its beautiful landscapes rather than its underground riches. But beneath the bucolic pastures lay vast reserves of coal. The extraction of coal in Lancashire dates back to the medieval period, but it was a small-scale affair, mostly conducted on the surface. The advent of steam power and the textile industry drastically changed this dynamic. The development of an extensive canal network in the late 18th and early 19th centuries was a game-changer. It facilitated the transportation of coal, linking isolated mining areas to burgeoning industrial centers and ports. The coal mines didn't just alter the physical landscape, they changed the social fabric too. People flocked to mining towns seeking employment, creating communities whose fortunes were inextricably tied to the mines. Mining was grueling work, with long hours in dark, cramped conditions. This hardship led to early forms of labor movements as miners sought better conditions and wages. Though advancements like the Davy lamp improved safety somewhat, mining remained perilous. Initial regulations struggled to keep up with the rapid technological changes, leaving miners vulnerable to a host of dangers, from collapses to gas explosions. By the mid-20th century, Lancashire's coal mines, including Hapton Valley Colliery, were part of a sophisticated industrial network. Coal powered not just Lancashire but much of the UK, emphasizing the critical nature of the industry. Established in the latter half of the 19th century, Hapton Valley Colliery was not just a pit in the ground where coal was extracted. It was the nucleus of a community, a source of livelihood, and a microcosm of the wider coal mining industry in Lancashire. Initially, Hapton Valley was one of many small operations dotting the Lancashire landscape. However, its proximity to transportation routes, particularly canals and later railways, gave it an advantage. Over the years, Hapton Valley Colliery employed hundreds of workers, from skilled miners to support staff. For many families, the colliery wasn't just a workplace, it was an intergenerational commitment. The colliery adopted various methods for coal extraction, adapting to technological advancements and geological challenges. However, each method came with its own set of risks. For the miners of Hapton Valley Colliery, the working day was more than just a series of tasks. It was a perilous endeavor requiring skill, courage, and a bit of luck. Let's venture into the depths to explore the life they knew. Miners often worked in shifts, sometimes up to 10 hours long, and their days were dictated by the clock and the whistle. The shifts were staggered to ensure a constant extraction process. The journey down the mine shaft was not for the faint of heart. Packed into tight elevators called cages, miners descended hundreds of meters below the surface. Once down, miners used a variety of tools to extract coal: picks, shovels, and later on, pneumatic drills. Each tool had its function but also its risks. Not everyone in the mine was an extractor. Some were hewers who broke the coal, putters who transported it, and trappers who operated the doors. Even young boys, not yet teenagers, were part of the workforce. Safety was a constant concern, and measures ranged from rudimentary to somewhat sophisticated. Canaries were often used to detect harmful gases, and lamps had to be inspected for integrity before descending. Miners had brief breaks during which they ate their snap, the local term for their packed meal. Eating underground had its challenges and risks, particularly due to the coal dust and risk of gas exposure. In the harsh conditions, camaraderie was essential. Miners often sang songs, told stories, and played harmonicas to lift spirits and build a sense of community that was crucial for mental well-being. Beneath the earth, where the miners of Hapton Valley toiled, lay not only coal but an invisible menace that could turn the dark tunnels into deadly traps. This segment explores the silent killer that is methane gas, known to miners as fire damp. Methane, a colorless, odorless gas, is a byproduct of coal formation. Trapped within coal seams, it poses no threat while contained. However, once released into the air by mining operations, it becomes highly explosive when mixed with oxygen in concentrations of 5% to 15%. In the early days of mining, detecting methane was a matter of life and death, with methods ranging from the primitive to the ingenious. The use of canaries, sensitive to toxic gases, served as an early warning system. However, this method was far from foolproof. Methane's real danger lies in its explosive potential. A spark, even from metal striking rock, could ignite a methane-air mixture, causing devastating explosions. These blasts were not only lethal but could also trigger secondary disasters, such as coal dust explosions or collapsed mine shafts. To combat this threat, mines developed ventilation systems designed to dilute and remove methane from the mining tunnels. These systems, ranging from simple air shafts to complex forced air ventilators, were critical in mitigating the risk of fire-damp explosions. Despite these precautions, the threat of methane required constant vigilance. Miners and mine managers alike had to be perpetually aware of the conditions underground, understanding that safety was not just about following procedures but about maintaining a culture of caution. At Hapton Valley Colliery, like many others across Lancashire and the wider coal mining world, the battle against methane was ongoing. The colliery had its share of close calls and warnings, serving as a stark reminder of the ever-present danger lurking in the unseen air. As we delve deeper into the narrative of Hapton Valley Colliery, we uncover a series of warning signs and safety lapses that, in hindsight, foreshadowed the tragic events of March 22, 1962. Mining, by its very nature, is a profession fraught with danger. Yet, in the years leading up to the explosion, a culture of risk acceptance, rather than risk management, seemed to prevail. This mindset, coupled with the economic pressures to maximize output, often led to safety being sidelined. Historical records from Hapton Valley and other similar collieries reveal a pattern of safety lapses. Inspections were sometimes cursory, and miners' concerns about ventilation and gas buildup were not always addressed with the urgency they required. Mine inspectors, tasked with enforcing safety regulations, were stretched thin, overseeing numerous mines with limited resources. Their reports often cited violations, but the follow-up was inconsistent, allowing dangerous practices to persist. By the early 1960s, advances in mining safety technology and practices offered new ways to mitigate risks. However, adoption was slow, hindered by cost concerns and a reluctance to change established methods. In the months leading up to the disaster, Hapton Valley Colliery itself showed troubling signs. Reports of gas detections increased, yet production pressures often overrode the implementation of comprehensive safety measures. Miners, the heart and soul of the colliery, often felt their safety concerns were downplayed. Their intimate knowledge of the mine's conditions was an untapped resource in preventing disasters. The regulatory environment prior to the disaster was marked by a balance between promoting industry and ensuring worker safety, a balance critics argue leaned too much in favor of production. March 22, 1962, began like any other day at Hapton Valley Colliery, with miners descending into the earth, unaware that it would become one of the darkest days in the history of British coal mining. As the early shift miners clocked in, there was no indication of the tragedy that would soon unfold. By mid-morning, however, a methane explosion would rip through one of the main coal faces, igniting coal dust and causing extensive damage. The explosion was both powerful and devastating, collapsing sections of the mine and trapping miners beneath the surface. The impact was felt above ground, with families and the community anxiously awaiting news. Rescue teams, comprised of fellow miners and specialized units, worked tirelessly in the aftermath, navigating collapsed tunnels and hazardous conditions in a race against time to reach those still trapped. The mine rescue services, heroes in their own right, showcased extraordinary bravery. Equipped with breathing apparatuses and facing the risk of further explosions, they descended into the chaos to save their fellow miners. Amidst the tragedy, there were tales of survival and heartbreak. 19 miners lost their lives that day, leaving a void in the community and families shattered by loss. The survivors bore witness to the horror, their lives forever changed. The disaster at Hapton Valley Colliery reverberated through the community, sparking an outpouring of support. Families, friends, and even strangers came together to offer comfort, aid, and solidarity in the face of unimaginable loss. As the dust settled and the last of the rescue operations came to a close, the full magnitude of the disaster began to sink in. March 22, 1962, would be etched in the memory of the nation as a somber reminder of the risks miners faced daily and the ultimate sacrifice made by so many. In the wake of the devastating explosion at Hapton Valley Colliery, the community and the nation sought answers. What followed was a rigorous investigation aimed at uncovering the causes of the disaster and preventing a recurrence. This segment explores the aftermath, the search for accountability, and the impact on mining safety regulations. Immediately following the disaster, authorities initiated a formal investigation. The goal was clear: to understand how a tragedy of this magnitude could have occurred and to ensure that the lessons learned would lead to safer mining practices. The investigation revealed a complex interplay of factors leading to the explosion. Chief among these were inadequate methane detection and ventilation practices, as well as lapses in adherence to safety protocols. The inquiry didn't just stop at identifying the causes, it also made several recommendations. These focused on improving mine ventilation, better gas detection methods, and stricter enforcement of safety standards. In the aftermath of the Hapton Valley disaster, the coal industry and regulatory bodies took steps to implement the recommended reforms. New regulations were introduced, aiming to significantly enhance the safety of miners and reduce the risk of similar tragedies. The miners' families and the broader community, alongside trade unions, played a crucial role in advocating for these changes. Their collective voice ensured that the tragedy's victims would not be forgotten and that meaningful action would be taken. The Hapton Valley disaster left an indelible mark on the coal mining industry. It served as a stark reminder of the importance of safety and the need for constant vigilance. As we look back on the tragedy at Hapton Valley Colliery, we are reminded of the cost of complacency and the value of human life. The echoes of the explosion at Hapton Valley Colliery reverberated far beyond the immediate aftermath, serving as a catalyst for sweeping changes in mining safety. The tragedy at Hapton Valley spurred a national reckoning with the safety standards of the coal mining industry. It became a pivotal moment, prompting lawmakers, industry leaders, and workers alike to reevaluate and reform the existing framework of mining operations. In response to the disaster, the Coal Mines Act was introduced, encompassing a comprehensive set of regulations aimed at safeguarding miner welfare. This legislation mandated improvements in ventilation, regular safety inspections, and the use of advanced gas detection technologies. The introduction of the Coal Mines Act led to significant advancements in mine safety. Mines across the country were required to implement these new standards, fundamentally changing the approach to miner safety and health. The impact of the reforms initiated by the Hapton Valley disaster was not confined to the United Kingdom. Nations around the world, confronting similar challenges in their mining industries, looked to these reforms as a model for improving their own safety standards. The families of the miners and the broader community played a critical role in advocating for these changes. Their determination ensured that the tragedy would lead to meaningful action, protecting future generations of miners. Today, the legacy of Hapton Valley Colliery lives on, not just in the memories of those lost or the scars of those who survived, but in the safer working conditions for miners everywhere. It stands as a testament to the idea that from tragedy can come transformative change. As we remember the events at Hapton Valley, we recognize the journey toward safety is ongoing. Each step forward is built on the lessons of the past, a commitment to never forget the cost of neglect and the value of a life. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe.